friends, this is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and I have one question for you, and that is, are you ready for Revan? And that is Darth Revan, and like, that's a legitimate question. Are you ready? How do you know if you're ready? I'm making this video the second time around when Revan is released or being released. With the right strategy, with the right bit of information, any of these things can really be beatable. Now, most of the time it's going to take planning. It's going to take a series of important choices you're going to need to make or will have had to have made to be able to farm and unlock these legendary characters. Now, again, I'm making this second go around. I am going to be unlocking Revan or Darth Revan during the second time. The things that you need to know, I'm going to put into this video. First and foremost, you need to know if you're going to be able to unlock him. Do not spend a ton of crystals that you don't have. Do not spend time and energy on farming if you're not going to be able to unlock all of the characters that you need to get Revan. And that's important. I mean, it's obvious, and you're probably like, Thaddeus, why are you saying that? Because sometimes people, they don't make the connection, right? So what you need to do is go to a panic farming guide. Go to Google, type in Darth Revan panic farming, or SWGOH events.com has a panic farm built in for you, and you can actually see where you are. This is me currently. The event is starting in 2 days, I believe. Actually, at the recording of this video, it's like 24 hours almost. But I've got all of my characters 7 stars, so I don't need to panic farm as far as characters go. Gear requirements, that's a different story altogether. Now, looking at the gear, it's kind of interesting. I went through and I was looking at what person was able to unlock Revan at the lowest level. And if this can be believed, this is what we saw. Now, Captain Rex has posted apparently a few times, once or twice before. He seems to be pretty active in the forum here, but he says this was a piece of cake. He goes through and he talks about kind of how he did it, but this is essentially the characters that he used, or again, these are the characters that he says he used. You've got HK completely geared and zated. You've got Bastila, who is completely geared and zated. You have Juhani, who is at least level 7, and he makes mention that she's actually in at least level 8. And then you have Candace and Karth. And Candace and Karth are both incredibly undergeared and under-leveled. And, I mean, these guys are probably gear 5, gear 6 at the very most. And, I mean, Candace and Karth are at level 50. So they're not bringing a lot of heat. Now, here's the thing. You don't need a lot of heat for a number of the different areas of the game. There's just a few characters that you need to be able to use effectively that you're bringing to the table. Now, I by no means am going to walk in with this crew, my crew farmed out like that. I've spent the time, I've geared up my tunes, and I feel prepared for this event. Now, what I'm going to do, or at least for my personal reference, I've got everyone that I possibly can up to gear level 11, and that's kind of like my focus. The only person that I still am even trying to level is Juhani. I've got Juhani at gear level 10. She's almost gear level 11, and by the event, I should have her either close to or at gear 11. But then I've got, for the rest of the crew, rest of the characters that I'll be using, that I will actually have to bring in, I've got Candace, he's at gear 11. I've got Karth at gear 11. I've got T3 at gear 10, and one piece away from gear 11. I could get him up, but I'm not sure I want to focus on T3 just yet. You don't use Big Z or Mission in this event, so you don't have to worry about that. So really, it just comes down to, do you have the tunes that you need? Now, personally, this is what I'm going into. I'm not gonna Zeta anyone. If I Zeta anyone, even, I don't know, Bastila or HK might get a Zeta, but Most likely not. HK Zeta is valuable, but not what I'm looking for. I'm looking to do this without having to put Zetas on these tunes. I have my Zetas. I have Zetas available. And if I need to, I will be able to throw some on. But again, the higher your gear level is going to be, the better chances you're going to have. Now, the important thing here is mods and knowing how to attack certain phases. Phases 1 through 4 are fairly simple. Phase 5 is where you're going to run into the most trouble. Phase 6 and 7, if you can beat 5, shouldn't be too difficult. Mods is where you obviously need to focus most of your attention. The higher your characters are gear level, obviously, if you have gear level 12, all characters, you're going to have a great opportunity to put tons of awesome mods on your tunes. But if you don't, you need to know how those mods work and which tune works best with which. Now, I went through to Crouching Rancor. This has been a tool that I've used in the past. And one of the things that I actually like about this is it shows you what sets are needed for each individual thing. And it's a decent visual organizer. I like it, right? Skeltrix actually helped the Crouching Rancor crew put this together. And so his opinion carries a lot of weight. And so I feel like this is a pretty solid. But if you want a more in-depth explanation as to what mods go where, why, and how, jump over to gamingfans.com. And you've got Karth, you've got Juhani, and then you've got Canderous. Those are the three that you're going to need to really know how to mod. Most likely because you probably haven't spent a lot of time with Karth, Canderous, or Juhani. It's likely that you've already got those mods or those characters modded effectively, or the way that you're going to need them to be. It's these three characters that I suggest you really make sure that you focus on. Obviously, speed is going to be important for a number of these characters. Canderous, offense is going to be your BFF. For Juhani, you want to make sure that she survives. She's that tank who you want her to be tanky, so she's got to have some great survivability. And then with Karth, obviously, offense, critical damage. For Karth, it mostly comes down to speed. Now, the Terrace Arena battle is the very first round. That's who you're fighting first and foremost. And you go through and you fight a bunch of Mandalorians, and it's pretty cool. It's got some neat little cinematography or cinematics there. You also have this little button right here in the very top that says lore. I highly recommend you going through and actually clicking on it, because if you've never read or have never gone through and learned about KOTOR, if you've never played it, this is a really cool thing, and it gives you a lot of background information about Knights of the Old Republic and about the characters that you're facing off against. If you're struggling, that lore button also does give you a little bit of information on what you could be doing wrong. So I highly recommend going through and reading it and being familiar with it. But in the Terrace Arena, you are given a Revan, right? You don't have to use your own Revan, because you don't have a Revan at this point. Now, next, you're going to be fighting up against Juhani. Juhani's not super difficult. Calo Nord is after him. The thing that you need to be aware of is the Calo Nord, when he counts, he's going to count 3, then 2, then 1, and then he's going to hit your team. And when he hits your team, if you don't have them like geared, and if your team sucks, they're going to die. He does a massive amount of damage, so be prepared for that, and know that that's coming. Junta Paul is actually a really cool character. The cinematics in this are pretty awesome, but again, not a really difficult level, not a really difficult tier to beat. Tier 5 is where most people struggled the first time around. Now, granted, most people struggled more often than not because their characters were under geared. If you have gear probably 9 and up, you're going to be able to do this. Even this guy here was able to do it, assuming that he's being honest, was able to do it. Now, once you get through all 3 phases, you get into the 4th phase. This is where you're going to have the most difficulty. You're faced with this droid in the middle, the 2 droids on the side, and the cannons on the outer side. What you want to do is you want to take out the cannons first, then focus all your effort on that big Mandalorian droid in the middle, that big droid, killer droid. Try to avoid AoEs. Try to just attack that main droid with your basic. The idea here is if the other two guys have fear, or if they don't have fear, like, use that to your advantage. Use the stagger ability to your advantage. Your characters are going to be able to make this. Now, if you don't, go back and try again, right? Now, if you're like Captain Rex here, who I'm pretty sure sacrificed at least a handful of goats to RNGesus, because I don't think there's any way that he could have done that without the RNG definitely being on his side. But it's still possible, right? If I really do think that the higher gear you're gonna be fine. I beat it pretty handily when I used my maxed out whale account that I was using. It wasn't super difficult. You just need to know how to effectively take out that main guy. Now, once you take out that main droid, then the rest is fairly easy. Gear tier 6, you're going to be fighting up against Bastila. Those two droids on the side, ignore them, right? Kill them if you need to, but really your focus needs to be Darth Bastila. She is the one that is going to be, once you kill her, you move on, right? It's pretty straightforward. Focus on her. The other two will revive, so don't worry about killing them because they're just coming back anyways. Finally, you are fighting the rest of the light side Old Republic. You're going to be using Canderous, HK, T3, Badstilla, and Darth Revan. Those are your 5 that you're taking into the match. With those 5, the important thing to remember is you've got Juhani, and you've got... The important thing to remember is you've got Jolee and Juhani. Those are the only 2 Jedi here. Jolee only brings back other Jedi. So if you can kill Juhani, you kill Jolee, you're not worried about other people coming back. Then you've got Karth, Mission, and Zalbar. Zalbar and Mission are gonna be frustrating for you because that dynamic is just ridiculously frustrating. But it's not more difficult than tier 5. So if you're able to get to tier 7, it's likely that you're going to be able to do tier 7 pretty easily, right? It's just that tier 5 that you have to get to. And so again, I would say take out Juhani, then Jolee, and then whittle down Mission and Zalbar if you can. Karth might be able to be one. He might be one that gets taken out by an AoE. I don't rightly know, but he's not one that I would worry too much about. That being said, guys, really the idea comes with you can do this as long as you know that setup, as long as you know that kill order, and as long as you're prepared for tier 5. If you can get through tier 5, it is likely that you're going to be fine and you're going to be able to unlock Darth Revan. You just need to know, 1, if you have the characters available. 2, if you have the gear, the mods, and then finished, you need to really understand how to kill. That being said, guys, hopefully you're able to unlock him. If you are, leave a comment in the section below. If you're not, leave a comment in the section below. Let me know what you did, what you're struggling with. Join me on Discord, chat with me. Let me know if you have any questions, concerns. Hit me up on Instagram and on Twitter at RealGoingNerdy. Join me at goingnerdy.com, where I cover more than just Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I cover other nerd topics. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about Star Wars. This has been Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and as always, my friends, smile and stay nerdy.